As of now, it would be probably Spirit headquarters, so I could torture all the people I know there for torturing me for so long.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Channel 1031, the show where I interview other haunters about upcoming things in the Halloween community, or maybe things that they recently announced and upcoming things they have. Today, I have a very special guest. He's a very good friend of mine. He's got an awesome animatronic collection. He's a writer for the Spirit Halloween Wiki, and he's friends with multiple people at Spirit Halloween Corporate. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest for Channel 1031 today is Aidan Kaye. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
He's here, ladies and gentlemen. I knew I had to have him on the show. I got him on today. I got some questions for him about the Wiki, about his upcoming haunt, and about Spirit Halloween in general. So without further ado, let's get to the questions for Aidan Kaye. Alright, so my first question for you, it kind of goes along with a lot of the questions I have for the rest of the interview, and a lot of the questions kind of go back to this time and time again, so I wanted to start it because it's going to kick off the entire interview. And the first question is, what started your love for Spirit Halloween, and what kind of set you on the track for what you're doing now and what you'll probably end up doing in the future?
Ooh, wow. Okay, so my first trip to Spirit was back in 2009. I was 5 years old. My parents decided to take me to Spirit, and it was the worst decision they've ever made. I'll say that I was terrified of it for years, as I'm sure a lot of people were. It wasn't until around 2014 that I discovered their YouTube channel, and I saw the teaser, the theme video, basically, for the ruins, and I was like, this is really cool, this is cinematic, there's something interesting to this. So I was less scared about the store because I knew what was going to jump up at me ahead of time because I had seen the video, and then 2015, I started following it, and I just kind of went from there, honestly. It was kind of a slow progression. I was scared of it for a very long time, but obviously I'm not now. But it was just a lot of knowing what's happening beforehand with the videos and everything. But the YouTube channel was a big turning point for me.
We have a sort of similar situation. Now, I didn't end up finding the YouTube channel, but I found my local store. And the first year, 2013, maybe it has something to do with why it's my favorite year of all time, that it was, like, the first one I saw. But, like, I went to my store, I was 5 years old, and I went there when they were still setting up, and I would look in through the window, but the problem was with my local store at the time, the building it was in, that it was a blocked off thing, so when you looked in, you couldn't see the actual store, or the themes or anything. It basically just had a big Spirit logo. That was all you could see through the window. But I was still, like, so interested into looking into it and just seeing the logo. I was too afraid to go in, like, even once they had opened. But what was interesting, at the end of the season, it had gone to, like, October. I don't know the exact date, but I'm assuming it was around October. And I had started going into the store. Now, I remember the first day, I went in, like, to the front of the clown train. And I would see, like, the clowns, but I wouldn't go too far in. And I would see that. The second time, I would go a little bit closer to seeing all them. And something interesting that I remember, I wouldn't really go into the actual themes, but I would more, like, go around them. So I would look at the front, and then I would just navigate around them, through the costume area. And then I remember...
That is exactly what I did.
I remember one of the last days was I saw the asylum, and I didn't go really close to it, because I know I really didn't like it. But I remember I saw the police sirens with the blinking lights, and I saw the sign. And that was it, and then basically I turned around and went back out of the store. But we have a similar thing where, like, you were going in and seeing it, like, earlier than probably I was going in, like, to the full store. But it's just interesting that we have a sort of similar way of, like, seeing the store for the first time. And you saw the YouTube channel. Like, I never found the YouTube channel. I always just found my local store, and saw that. So it's kind of interesting. You have a similar, but also at the same time kind of different story on how Spirit became something that you were actually a fan of.
Yeah, and for me, I think For things that I'm scared of, I do a lot of research. That's like my thing. I will research the thing and then become less scared of it. So with Spirit, that's exactly what I did. I Googled the name in 2014 and the YouTube channel came up. And that's when it all went, to hell. That's just when the whole thing spiraled out of control, and here we are.
So actually, the next question is again ties into the Spirit talk and what you've recently been doing, and then what is setting you up for your future, and sort of happened after you discovered Spirit. And I know this story, but I wanted to get it out there and kind of do a thing on channel 1031 because it's sort of an interesting question, and I know the story behind it is really, really cool. And the question is, how long ago and how did you end up becoming friends with the multiple people that you know at Spirit Halloween Corporate?
It's quite the story, yeah. So it was 2019. I was in a particularly difficult part of my life, and Spirit was a very big part of kind of taking me away from that and putting me in a sort of distraction away from what was actually happening in my life. So I had the idea to write a letter to Mr. Steven Silverstein, who is the owner of Spirit, and I just wrote this letter about how, how excited I was for Spirit, but also how much it helped me. And he got the letter and forwarded it to a couple people around the company, who then got back in contact with me and invited me out to corporate because of my close proximity to corporate. So went to corporate in 2019, saw Flagship for the first time, which was just an absolutely incredible experience. And I just toured headquarters, which was great. That was just the best experience. They gave me 2 animatronics, which was nuts. And I kept in contact with some of those people, and some of the people ended up moving to different departments in Spencer's and Spirit. But some of the people, such as, I'll name drop people because people know them already. Gina Bowman, who was on the channel, was on Griffin's channel recently. Mike Kroll, who designs the themes. Those kind of people I've really, I've stayed in contact with and become really close friends with, and we've shared a lot of just similar parts of our lives, especially, of course, love of Halloween. So it's been a wild ride, but it's really just crazy and so cool to have these contacts. They're such nice people, and everyone who works at Spirit is just so fun.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting because I feel like every year more and more people start to know that you're like a high being in the community, because it's like everyone, obviously there's people who are like, oh, I have a lot of subscribers, or I have a lot of followers, or I'm just a big fan. But I feel like every year people are like, everyone's like, Aidan is the high being because he has these connections to people. And everyone sort of knows now, like, he knows everyone, and he's like the person who rules over everything. And it's sort of interesting to hear, like, it's not even that long ago that you became this person who knew all these connections, and sort of became someone who is like who was like watching over everything because people. And I know it's a really interesting story on how just writing a letter would have gotten you to the place you are now, and you would have known so many people and gotten so many things. And something interesting, like recently you got the mystery box because of the connections. So right. It's interesting to hear that just writing a letter was the thing that got you to where you are, and it kind of puts it in perspective on, like, Spirit obviously cares about their fans, where it's like you wrote out to them and then they like took you under their wing and gave you stuff and became friends with you. And it's really interesting to hear that that's the story behind it.
Yeah, and absolutely. I hate when people like put me on a pedestal. Like, I'm just a kid. I know people, but that's it. Like, I'm not some sort of special, mystical beast or anything. But I just happen to know these people, and it's crazy how that letter snowballed into whatever the hell this is. But it was such an interesting progression. And honestly, like you said, Spirit they know their fans, and they're so in tune with some of them specifically. It's just, they're seriously the nicest people in the world, and seriously some of the best and most creative people I've ever met. And I'm just eternally grateful for what they've done for me and Spirit as a company, but specifically the people I've met through it.
So this next question, again, it ties into Spirit. And it's kind of, again, a progression from, like, you seeing the store, which actually this might have started before you met corporate people, so it's sort of in between. But it ties into your whole timeline of, like, your Spirit life. And it's like, the question is, so what is it like being a writer for the Spirit Halloween Wiki? You type up latest news, and kind of what goes along with the task and the job of doing that. What sort of the jobs you have to do, the daily life of a Spirit Halloween latest news writer.
So the wiki actually started. I joined the wiki a couple months before I met the corporate people and before I wrote the letter. It was I had found the website just from doing Spirit research, and it was at a time that I was starting to get involved in the actual Haunter community. So I decided to just start editing stuff, just random tidbits of information that I knew, and especially when I got involved with the corporate people, they told me things that not everyone knew, so once I got the okay from them, I would put it on the wiki. And eventually the owner at the time sent me a message and was like, hey, do you want to be a content mod? And so I took him up on that, and I slowly worked up the ranks to now I'm a bureaucrat, which is essentially co-owner, basically. And I have not been as active recently because I'm still considering it kind of the off-season until sneak peeks start. But once sneak peeks get started, it's going to be an everyday thing of writing articles, getting as much information as possible ready as soon as possible, writing articles ahead of time if I get information ahead of time, and then just sitting at my computer waiting for Spirit to drop the item so I can click publish on the article. So it's especially like the latest news article specifically, that's like a thousands of words article. That is a huge page. So that takes a lot. It's all coding in HTML and wiki text, which is their version of HTML basically. And so it's a lot of coding and writing. But it's usually getting things ready as soon as possible to be dropped whenever Spirit decides to drop their stuff.
Look, I'm gonna be honest, like, I've heard some of these things before, and then you saying it, I don't think I couldn't even do it. I don't think I could do any job on the wiki. I have so much stress doing videos on stuff, on, like, the second it tries to come out, so I couldn't imagine, like, sitting and waiting, and, like, also, like, when you know there's, like, other people on your team, there's, like, a lot of other people on your team, who are also on the wiki and doing different jobs. Basically, all I have on my team is me. So all I have to think is, like, hey, I want to get this video out as soon as the thing gets released. But I couldn't imagine, like, if I had someone next to me who is, like, say, like, my thumbnail maker, and they were like, you have to get this video out as soon as it comes out. And, like, I would just be so stressed. So, obviously, I have so much respect for you and for everyone who works on the wiki, because it seems like such a stressful thing. Like, we had to get this out the second it gets out, for everyone. Like, I know last year, all my information that I was doing, all the images, everything that I was covering on my videos was coming from there, and I was sort of relying on the wiki to give me the information as soon as it gets released. And so it's like, I couldn't imagine running it and being behind all that, because, like, I can barely run my channel, so I definitely could not do what you're doing.
Yeah, it's definitely intense, and I anticipate a very intense next couple weeks, especially when the Graveyard Shift drops. I'm sure, I don't know when this video is coming out, but it might even be after the Graveyard Shift drops, I don't know. But especially when that drops, that's going to be a very long evening, just like when the giant teaser dropped last year of all the different props. We were, most of the team was all night going screenshot by screenshot, frame by frame, and we made 20 articles in one night. It's a well-oiled machine, but you gotta work together. You gotta know what each other are doing while you're working, because you don't want to have 3 people working on the same article and only realize when you've all finished the article. Like, so it's definitely intense, but it's a fun job in retrospect.
Well, yeah. So obviously, everyone watching, send mad respect to the Spirit Halloween Wiki. Go check them out if you haven't already. So much work goes into that. And yeah, I don't know, Spirit Halloween Wiki is insane. The people over there working insanely hard. It's going to be a lot of fun, I guess, for them in this upcoming season. Yeah. So you have what looks to be your biggest haunt ever coming up for 2021. Miss Ravenwood's School for Grotesque, Murderous, and Sadistic. You teased that in a little bit a couple months ago, showing the logo, But other than that, there hasn't been a lot released. It's sort of big mysterious thing. We know you're building it for 2021. So I guess the question is, like, what is your process? Obviously, I'm assuming you're going to start building soon. What is the process for preparing the build? What's kind of the idea process around preparing for your brand new 2021 haunt?
Well, first, my excuse for not releasing much about it. I do have an excuse. It's that I have 70 million other projects that I'm working on. I have a whole schedule for the summer, and I'm going to be pivoting to the haunt very soon, so there will be more content on that coming out soon. It was an idea I had while cleaning up the 2020 haunt, actually. I was going around the yard picking up stuff, and I came up with this idea of a school, mostly because I live behind my high school, and I was staring at the school while I was cleaning up. I was like, hey, I'm terrified of that place. That would be a good thing for a haunt. So I came up with this. I wanted something to have a really long name because I thought it was funny, and also because my 2020 haunt name was one word. So I thought it would be something interesting to do. Some really, just long name, very mysterious. It's my first haunt that's actually going to have a storyline, so there is a story behind it, there are characters, there is conflict, and there might be, I'm working on a kind of slightly animated series possibly coming around with it later in the year.
Whoa.
It's still a concept, but it might not happen, but it's something I've been working on. So it's the actual haunt building process usually starts out as just cleaning out the basement, and so I have a big open space, and then I lay tape down on the ground or chalk or whatever I have around to actually get a pathway of what I'm going to be doing. I have schematics already of how I want to lay it out. It's just going to be measuring spaces and that sort of stuff. And then going from there, it's just a lot of putting up walls, building props. It's a pretty straightforward process, but a lot of it is making stuff up as I go along. Like, I have a very basic idea of what I want to do, and my intention is for the haunt to look nothing like what I think it's going to look like right now, because that's just kind of how I roll. That's just how my haunts always end up being. My 2018 and 2019 haunts, they were not supposed to look like that at all, but they transformed into whatever they end up being. So, and I think that's kind of the beauty of it. It's this constantly morphing thing. It's changing until the night before I turn everything on. Like, especially with 2018, I added 2 rooms the night before. So it's an ever-changing process, but I'm very excited to get started.
Yeah, and it's sort of interesting because, I don't know, people might know this if you're watching the video. I put out haunt teasers, and I only just realized, like, I'm condensing almost all of my plans for the haunt, because, like, I realized there's no way I'm going to be able to put together what I had originally designed. Now, I still plan to put together something with the cardboard, but again, it's like someone like you who actually, like, builds something big. It's really fun to see, like, what your process is and how you put together something that's actually going to be put together and be walked through and everything. And something interesting you said, I guess I can say this because by the time this episode is coming out, the one I'm going to be talking about is already out. So Psychotic Circus of Savannah I had on the show, and he was saying how there is always rooms in the haunt that he'll have designed like in November, and then ones that he only has the idea for a couple days before the actual haunt. So it's interesting how you're saying almost the exact same thing that he said. So it's just sort of interesting, like, connection of people who build haunts. So that's kind of funny that you both said that.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very much, a lot of it is spur of the moment. Like, if I have an empty space, I'll go to, like, Spirit the day before if I have some money, and I'll be like, ooh, I can build a room around that prop. Again, back to 2018, one of the rooms, this was my first haunt, by the way, my first actual walkthrough haunt, that in 2018, I didn't know how to end the indoor portion of the haunt. I just had a hallway, and I didn't like that. So I went to Spirit with like $100, and I saw Toe Tagged Corpse, and I was like, oh, I could put a table and put him on the table. So that's exactly what I did. I bought him, brought him home, and the next night I opened the haunt. So it's very much spur of the moment and coming up with it as you go along.
The next question again ties into the haunt thing, and kind of like how you're kind of saying how every year it's gotten bigger and it becomes more of a thing. that is more planned out, more early designed, and all of that. So this is what the question is about. How big do you want the haunt to eventually become? Before it would be like, I don't want it to go any bigger than this. And do you have any interest in eventually running a commercial haunt that maybe wouldn't be on your own property, and something that was an actual business for you? Like, is there any interest in doing that in the future?
Yeah, so first off, I'm reaching haunt capacity at my home. Like, at this point, I'm running out of room as it is. This year, it's going to be... Last year, I couldn't do indoor haunt because of COVID. This year, I will be doing an indoor haunt with many restrictions put in place. But it'll be in the basement and in the backyard. So it's going to be pretty much all the space I have. And at this point, I can't really go bigger. And this is as big as I'd want it to be, kind of. Like, I don't think one person could handle a bigger haunt than what I'm about to have. This is kind of teetering on the edge anyway. But in terms of commercial haunt, honestly, I would not. If I was given the opportunity to run a home haunt or a commercial haunt, I would not choose the commercial haunt. Just because it's... I don't... There's something nice about running a home haunt. There's something nice about just... You know, it being your own thing. Once you get to a commercial haunt, it gets to the point where you've got a team of people working, and it's just nice to be able to put my own idea down and kind of just have it as like a neighborhood thing. I just wouldn't be interested in that.
Yeah, honestly, I would probably be on your side. I would love to do like a haunt, but I don't know if I would love a commercial haunt unless I was running it. I would love to have like a big haunt, but again, like I'm saying that like I'm saying like I would love to run a haunt that was run super smoothly. But you know it's not going to happen. When you have a commercial haunt that has an LLC and has insurance and has a ton of actors, like, none of it's going to run smoothly. So I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't. But I don't know. It's just interesting to hear your take on commercial haunts and sort of how you want to keep it condensed onto your own property.
Yeah, and I would add that it's the same thing with kind of like, obviously, I'm sure we're about to get into this. I do a lot of musical stuff, and one thing that a lot of music artists that I've spoke to who play big venues, big shows, they say they would always choose a small bar venue over a stadium. And that's purely because of intimacy with the crowd. Like, you can have so much more fun when you've got 50, 100 people there than when you have thousands and thousands of people surrounding you, just because you can be closer to your audience. You can be more in tune with your audience. And I think it goes the same with the haunt. With the smaller haunt, there's a certain intimacy to that, and you've got the neighborhood coming out, and you know these people, and you get to show off what you're doing to people you know and trust. And doing a big commercial haunt is like playing to a crowd of thousands of people. Like, they'll love it, but it's not as intimate as a setting. Yeah.
So actually, you just brought up the musical thing, which is actually the next question, so that's pretty funny. So obviously, if you don't know, people watching out there, I don't know how you wouldn't. It's very popular in the community. Aidan released a Spirit Halloween EP with some fantastic songs. And with his permission, maybe I'll play a little snippet. What do you think? Play a snippet here?
Go for it. Go for it.
I'm not going to do it live, but in editing, we'll put some sort of snippet right here.
They said this is the place where we congregate. Goblins, ghosts, and ghouls, and anyone made.
Okay, so there you go. You got a snippet of the EP.
Yeah, it's great. I loved it. Yeah.
I loved it too. It was great. I don't even know what song I'm going to play yet, but we'll see. It was an awesome EP, awesome songs in there, all spirit related. It was really, really cool. Nothing like anything we've ever seen before. And you just recently announced in a little teaser on your YouTube channel that you're going to be releasing a brand new EP, kind of a sequel to the original. So the question is, what is the process from like, hey, I have an idea for a song, to when it's like, I'm filming it, and then it's like, it's out, it's done, it's completely created? What is the full process of, from beginning to end, of creating an Aidan Kaye Spirit Halloween EP?
Well, it's awful. I don't recommend it. There, I'm done. No, it's fun, but it's a very long process. It started when I had heard theme to Spirit Halloween, the two themes to Spirit Halloweens by Nick Lutzko, who is an amazing guy, and makes some amazing music, and I was like, hey, I could do that because I've released some songs. I want to write a spirit song, so I wrote a song called Jack's Ballad, and it was It started out as a song about the 50% off sale, which was this big comedic song, and then I was like, no, I could take this a slightly more serious route and turn this into something bigger. So I took the same kind of melody and redid all the lyrics, and then added a second half onto the song, and that song took maybe a week to do, and I just kind of put it out in the world and see what happens, and people seem to enjoy it. So I said, I asked people if they would be interested in more music like that, and everyone was, or at least most people were. So I decided to try and write a couple more songs and release it as an EP, and I did not know what to write about. I did not know how I wanted to organize it, but I had a couple people suggest songs, and I took the first suggestions that were thrown at me. I needed to make a Lemmy song because he's such a meme at this point, and that's all my fault.
Lemmy's gonna be going across the screen, so right now.
Yes,
there somewhere. I don't know. Editor,
there we go.
Put him somewhere here. Put him in somewhere. I don't know. Maybe a million. Put a whole bunch of Lemmys here. I don't know.
Yes, just everywhere. This is great for editing, Griffin. This is awesome. But yeah, so I knew I had to make a Lemmy song. I knew someone suggested a Ruins song, which I was all for because I love the Ruins, one of my favorite themes. Someone else wanted a Terror Mill song, which again, I'm totally down with. There's a lot you can do with that. And then I knew I wanted to end it off with some sort of end of season song. And that was the initial concept. And I started just playing around with different beats and things. The first beat I came up with after Jack's Ballad was this piano riff that ended up turning into Water Wheel, the Terror Mill song, and it just seemed like a really kind of dark, kind of bar tune almost like riff, and I really liked it, and I sent it around to a couple friends, and they were like, yeah, you gotta use that for Terror Mill. So I did, and I just kind of worked on it, wrote half the song, and then didn't touch it for 3 months. And I don't know why, but that's what ended up happening. And in the meantime, I wrote the Lemmy song, which started out as this insanity piece that I could not even play fast enough because I wrote it too difficult. So I changed it a little bit, but it was originally like this blast beat in a weird time signature, and it was insane, but I wanted it to be funny. I wanted it to be the funny track of it, with lines like, when you're a werewolf, they don't ask you how wolf, like stuff like that. I thought it would be funny to incorporate some werewolf puns and stuff like that. So that was the funny track, and that was a lot of fun to write. The Fallen Tower is definitely my favorite out of them. I wrote this little strings riff that I just kind of randomly came up with one day on my Clavinova, which is just a keyboard, and I really liked it, and I thought, it has this kind of like ethereal feel to it, so I thought I'd use that for the Ruins, because the Ruins are kind of like, an old church kind of feeling. And I came up with the chorus for that, and I was like, I should record myself as different monsters singing this like 27 times and overlay it onto each other. And so that was really fun, and I think it turned out really good. That's definitely my favorite song on the EP. And then November is the last track there. Well, second to last technically, if you include the bonus track, but the last track of the EP, and that was supposed to be a more emotional type of thing. And my favorite thing about when musicians write kind of concept albums, which this ended up being, is when they tie back the first song into the last song. So I reincorporated the chorus from Jack's Ballad into November, and I'm, again, really happy with how that turned out. And then I added a bonus track that I had released in the meantime, which was definitely another comedy track, nothing serious about that song, which is Sunsta, which is just me screaming about Sunstar, the company, for about a minute and a half. And I wrote that song in 3 hours, I recorded it in 30 minutes, and released it to the world. And then after I had finished all the songs, I realized they didn't really flow into each other. And I thought, how can I connect these all? I want them to be connected. So I added some ambient noise from an actual spirit store that I found on YouTube in between, and then I recorded myself talking as Jack the Reaper and modulated my voice a bit, and thought it would be funny to incorporate that. So Jack is definitely making a comeback on the new EP. He will definitely be there, and maybe we'll get a couple more songs this time. I don't know. Maybe it'll be closer to an album. We'll see. But it's a long process. The whole process ended up taking probably 5 months, maybe. But so don't expect this anytime soon. But you can expect songs about the new ISEs for this year. At least one of the new props for this year. Probably going to end up making a Wacky Mole song because someone's going to force me into it. Yeah, so that's kind of the process.
You can mix a song about him not having digital eyes.
Yeah, basically, that's probably what it's going to end up being. Just a rant song about Wacky.
So actually, the next question is about another thing that you recently announced. Not to diminish the second EP, but I think something that was really shared around and was something that really caught people off guard. Because there was like speculation of like, is another EP coming? And no one knew this upcoming thing was coming out. And of course, I had to be talking about the documentary. So if anyone's watching doesn't know this, Aidan recently announced a Spirit Halloween Flagship store documentary following the journey to Flagship and then the actual opening day and everything that happened in between there. And he just released a poster for it. There was some mystery around it, and it was really exciting. So I guess the question is, what were the ideas behind Flagship documentary coming out, and what will you be capturing in the documentary, and kind of what's the final ideas for what you want to be releasing in August?
So the idea started as a whole Spirit documentary. I wanted to go all out because I always do. I always totally bite off more than I can chew. And I was like, I'm going to interview people from corporate. I'm going to film at corporate. I'm going to fly drones everywhere. It's going to be great. And then nothing happened. And I realized that I could absolutely not do that. And that was about a year ago. And I've become a lot more involved in the Haunter community since then. So I was like, you know what? Maybe if I tried downscaling to just Flagship and just the time leading up to Flagship, it's something I could actually pull off. So I proposed the idea to a bunch of people, including Griffin and other people, the whole Flagship group chat and everything like that. And people seemed to be into it and were willing to participate. So I thought I'll throw together a poster. I'll propose it to the Spirit folks first to make sure it's okay, and then we'll see what happens. So I posted the poster and it went over really well. People were really into it, and production has started. Things have been filmed. I already have 2 hours of interview footage that I've been slowly editing down. It's going to be a very long process with a ton of people involved, but a lot of it, if you're going to Flagship, you know, I'll be filming. You'll see me there with cameras and just going nuts and losing my mind. It's going to be a lot of interviewing people about the season, getting behind-the-scenes footage, briefly probably talking to some Spirit employees. I can't do too much of that because of legal stuff, but it's going to be a blast, I think, and it's something that I think the community has been looking for, like something that they've wanted, but no one has actually, you know, been stupid enough to do until I came along. So I've been working hard, and we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, and I feel like the documentary is a great idea because, like, I feel like every year there should be more and more things of the community coming together because, like, obviously the community is great, and I love to see so many creators and so many people doing their own things and creating their own theories and discussions and reactions to sneak peeks and all of that. But I feel like it's cool whenever someone comes up with something on a way to get a whole bunch of people involved in one thing, and talking to different people and getting the community involved in each other and doing these videos. And that's why I think the documentary is a cool idea, because it's a video where everyone will be involved at once, and it's going to show everyone who's in the community and kind of show everyone and how they're involved in what goes on during the season. And that's why I think it's such a unique idea, because we haven't seen anything like that, and I can't wait to see obviously the full thing. I think it's going to be awesome. One thing, I didn't write this down on my list, but it's something that just kind of came up to me now. How long do you think the documentary will end up being?
That's a really good question. So I had no reference of time of how long it was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to be 30 minutes or an hour and 30 minutes. And then I did the first set of interviews, which was just one interview with 3 other people, and I in a Zoom call, and I recorded that, and it ended up being 2 hours of footage, and I've edited it down almost completely now, and it's making me think that this documentary will be around between 50 minutes and an hour at least, and then it might be more than that. I really don't know. I can't tell you right now, but it's gonna be long. It's not gonna be a 30-minute thing. It's definitely gonna be like an hour, is what I'd say.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There's your sneak peek, exclusive take on Aidan Kaye's upcoming Spirit Halloween Flagship documentary. I can't wait to see. That's going to be awesome. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people, like you said, involved in it. I can't wait to see who's involved in it. If there's any special appearances, cameos from different people. It's going to be awesome. I'll put the poster. I'm sure I'm going to be showing the poster while you're talking, but the poster will be shown somewhere on the screen here, so you can look out for that. August 2021, most likely. That's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to do that. Those are all the main questions I have written down on my question sheet. So the bloody bonus for Aidan Kaye is, when you die, if your soul could haunt only one place, what would be the place that you haunt?
Oh my god, that's a great question. Okay. Where would I haunt? I would probably haunt... As of now, it would be probably Spirit headquarters, so I could torture all the people I know there for torturing me for so long. I'm not sure though. Maybe your house. We could try that.
No, I don't want any ghosts.
It would make for a great haunt though.
Oh yeah, for a good haunt.
You can
use haunt. This was a ton of fun to do a Channel 1031 episode with Aidan Kaye. Obviously, he has so much coming up in the future. He's such a cool person. He has so many stories to tell. He's got a flagship documentary coming up. He's got a second Spirit Halloween EP. His brand new biggest haunt ever coming for 2021. It was a ton of fun talking to him. He's an awesome person. And you should go check him out on Instagram, YouTube. Go subscribe to him. Go follow him so you can get updates on every single thing that he has coming out for the 2021 season. I had a lot of fun doing this. And I guess, remember as always, for everything scary, I'm GMHaunts. I'll see you guys later for more Channel 1031 episodes. Goodbye.
I'm also GMHaunts.
Oh, he's also GMHaunts.